So, we are going to committee to promote respect for international humanitarian law, and I will give the floor to Mr. Kiariri from Kenya to report us what are the activities of the committee. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. And I'll start by first inviting all of us to East Africa. And in the same breath, I want to take this opportunity to thank Rwanda for organizing such an amazing conference of the 145th IPU. Honorable members and dear colleagues, I am pleased to report on the meeting of the International Humanitarian Laws Committee, which was held this week in Kigali. You will find our report in your set of documents, and so I will just focus on 2 points. Colleagues, I had the privilege of being elected as president of this committee. It is a great honor and privilege, and I hope that we shall be working with my colleagues in this committee in the few years to come. I would also like to pay tribute to Dr. Agnes Vadai, our outgoing chair, for her leadership and commitment. Kindly join me in appreciating her with a round of applause. She's seated right there at the back. Colleagues, we are the committee that is in charge of promoting respect for international humanitarian law. You will understand that we spent some time discussing the humanitarian impact of the war in Ukraine, as well as the dramatic situations that are linked to the crisis in Afghanistan and Myanmar. Just to give you some figures, ladies and gentlemen, let me start with Ukraine. As of mid-September 2022, over 7.6 million persons had fled into neighboring countries, and beyond 90% are women and children. An additional 6 million people are displaced within Ukraine, and close to 18 million are in urgent need of humanitarian assistance inside the country. Winter is likely to cause further displacement due to inadequate shelter, which particularly impacts the most vulnerable groups. These groups are the elderly, the persons with disabilities, persons with chronic illness, and children. Moving on to Afghanistan, in the past year, some 1.2 million persons fled the country. A total of 7 million Afghans are found in neighboring countries today. The new arrivals in Iran and Pakistani are comprised of a majority of children. An estimated 3.5 million people are currently internally displaced by the conflict in Afghanistan. The political change of August 2021 pushed Afghanistan to a humanitarian and economic crisis. Right now, 18.9 million people are estimated to be acutely food insecure. With regard to Myanmar, over 1 million refugees and asylum seekers have fled to neighboring countries. 950,000 are in Bangladesh. Over 1.3 million persons are internally displaced within Myanmar. As you can see, colleagues, these are very dramatic situations, and we are concerned that the trend is going upwards towards more forced displacements and more people in increased vulnerable situations. This trend needs to be reversed because, honorable members and colleagues, while these figures might sound very dramatic, I would like to remind us that each figure here represents a human life. It is of great concern. The committee calls on all of the members of the IPU to take urgent political action and work together to have this to stop. We need to raise these in our respective parliaments and our geopolitical groups and see how we can contribute to global efforts of assistance to support refugees and the countries that are hosting them. Ladies and gentlemen, honorable colleagues, the second point I would like to raise relates to the question of inclusion. We held a panel here to discuss good parliamentary practices for the inclusion of refugees, internally displaced and stateless persons. We saw how numerous countries, Turkey, Djibouti, Rwanda, just to name a few, have taken important measures to allow men and women that have fled their countries to live in dignity and to engage and contribute to the host country's development. By enabling inclusion in the national systems with the right legislation, policies and practices in place, states ensure a more holistic, effective and coordinated response that can benefit both the host and refugee populations and the stateless people. Of course, this does not come about easily. Action, political will, changes are required. I hope that we can all engage along that path and follow up in our countries to see how we can enhance the inclusion of those that do not have chosen, those who have not chosen to leave their countries and who have dreams, wishes, hopes, just like you and me. Thank you very much, honorable members, and I wish you a safe flight back home. Thank you very much.
Thank you, dear